This story is so upsetting, but sadly all too common all over Europe. I'll show the video at the end. Probably worse still is the woke liberals, which control a lot of the mainstream media, total refusal to cover these stories because it doesn't fit their agenda. This story is in France, but this is happening all over European countries where they have imported large numbers of migrant men from countries where women are oppressed. Nothing far right about not wanting to import migrant men who go around in gangs attacking women. Seems the liberal lefties' compassion does not extend to people like the poor girl in this report who was sobbing with a torn dress after an attack by 5 North African men. In fact, they couldn't care less about women's safety, full stop, as Alex Phillips perfectly expresses.
It's all about crimes and migrants committing crimes. And I'll tell you why this is particularly close to my heart. Because to coin a favourite phrase of the left wing, it has been my lived experience over the past 3 years or so that a lot of crimes happening against women especially seem to be committed by people who aren't from this country. I've been followed home with a man in one of those Afghan kolpal hats chuntering away in some language all the way to my front door. I had to hide in my neighbour's house and pretend I didn't live in my house because he was lurking around outside trying to do indecent things to himself. That's right. I've also had my phone robbed off me by a Roma woman with a scarf on. And I'm like, yeah, what are we doing here? Who are these people? Why are we importing all this stuff? I cannot walk down the streets where I live anymore without weird men leering at me, making comments. Look, I'm not one of these Me Too movement women. When it was builders wolf whistling from vans, I don't care. Sometimes it brightens up your day. Because what they don't do is they don't get into your personal space. They don't trail you. They don't physically approach you. They don't follow you to your front door. It's a very different sort of more harmless thing, a wolf whistle, than some of the stuff I'm being subjected to now. And some of the stuff my best mate who lives around the corner, again, her lived experience. Also, guess what? A woman with long blonde hair. She has 4 teenage daughters. All of them now have at some point been sexually assaulted. They have been groped, they have been followed. They are scared living in London. What is going on? So I am going to keep talking about this. I don't care if people turn around and goes, you're a racist, because my safety and the safety of women in this country is paramount. That is way more important than offending certain communities who, quite frankly, have men with medieval values when it comes to women, and I ain't standing for it.
Well said. Funny how her lived experience doesn't matter when it doesn't fit the agenda. My ex-girlfriend nearly fell victim to an attack by 5 Kurdish men a few months ago. Luckily I was there, so I saw it with my own eyes. And that was on a busy street at night. I now tell her not to walk through a local park at night, especially after a friend of hers was attacked in the middle of the day in the same park. Luckily she screamed and he ran off. Apparently, a 15-year-old African migrant was later arrested. I know women who are now afraid to walk through areas that have seen a large increase of migrant men from places like North Africa and the Middle East. I've been told she sees them loitering on the street day and night in places like Harrows, Leeds, where the recent riots were. No surprise there then. Anyway, watch this story with CCTV footage. It is only going to get worse until we address who we allow or don't allow into the country.
The famous lights of Paris's party district, so close to the iconic Moulin Rouge, the scene of a horror story for a young Australian woman. It ended in this kebab shop. We won't identify her, but the 25-year-old fled here, visibly distressed on CCTV and in tears. A woman helps her with water. Staff try to comfort her. Then a man walks in. She gestures, that's him. But the owners don't speak English and find someone who can. The alleged attacker lingers and even approaches. A pat on the back before English speakers walk in to help. He makes an order, but then another diner takes a swing. The confrontation erupts. The man flees. Just minutes later, police arrive. The owner and staff today still shaken.
Moi, c'est triste. La dame est trop triste.
It's sad, he says. She couldn't stop crying. Her dress was damaged. The woman told police she was raped by 5 men of African appearance.
What happened to your citizen happened a lot of time in France every day.
The victim was due to fly home the next day after attending a music festival, but ended up in hospital.
It's a bit crazy, but it's because there is not the security there used to be.
This is a headline Games organisers didn't want just days out from the opening ceremony. The world's eyes will soon be on Paris, and there are heightened security concerns for visitors and athletes. Tonight, worries for Australia's athletes. At these games, they'll leave the village after their events, rather than staying in the safety net of the Australian Olympic Committee. With police resources stretched, their investigation continues. Her attackers still free. In Paris, Ashley Mullaney, 7 News.